Hi everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. This is from my newest watercolor class, Old Barn Door, and in this video here I will be talking about how to paint the bricks using different colors and mixing those colors on the paper, and how to add natural shadows. If you would like to take a full class, please see the links in this video. So this is a Casanel size 4 brush, round brush. You kind of grab this more diluted paint with water. So this was like a burnt sienna, but some of the Van Dyke brown went in there too. And then you kind of just start adding the color. This is a softer brush. I think it's better just to do it with a softer brush. But then I just grabbed some of the Van Dyke brown with Quinn red. And I'm not trying to make it perfect. So I'm leaving some areas paper dry actually. So I'm gonna grab this again. This is like a diluted paint actually. I'm gonna find another piece that's just like it, a little similar. Too much paint, but I want to grab some of the raw sienna too, and I need to dilute it with water. And now I'm gonna add that kind of raw sienna by dry pressing a little more water now, just to feel it out. And that's another brick basically. Now I'm gonna grab some of this color. This is the yellow. And this is the yellowish brick. So here, the stone is like, it has these white spots. Those are our highlights. So you want to do actually some of this dry brushing. So I didn't refill this time. I just went for that brick. And then you can grab other shades. So this is like a raw sienna, but it's mixed a little bit now with some Quinn red. And I'm going to grab some yellow. And again, you don't need to make it perfect. Dry brush it. And now with that same brush, let's grab a little bit of more diluted with water though, indigo. So there's my indigo. This one right here. They're all looking freshly painted here. But you can add the indigo on top, something like this. You can add more indigo here. So you can play with the colors. And I'm going to add some indigo here from top. And I'm going to add another brick here and here. And then some of the raw sienna to change the tone of that yellow. So this is just a speeded up version of how I paint the rest of these bricks, but in just a moment I will be sharing with you how I create natural looking shadows and how I refer to the color wheel to create these natural looking shadows. So here again is what I have on my palette. What you want to do is zoom in onto those bricks, actually the rocks that we see, and you see darker areas. Those are the shadows. You don't want to add them everywhere. You kind of just want to pick the areas, and a lot of times you do dry brushing. So that's dry brushing, and you can hear that scraping on the paper. You can do dry brushing with a stiffer brush too. You always want to think about it and treat it as you're painting anything else, so they're not like neglected and left for last thing, because shadows are really important. And when we have these whiter spots, so this one I'm going to wipe my brush first on a towel, and I'm just going to drag my brush a little bit for that dry brushing effect. So those whiter parts or lighter parts, they also need shadow and cracks. So I just kind of drag my brush a little bit. And like, for example, here we have these lines. You don't want to just focus on one section. You kind of want to travel actually through, because that will prevent overdoing it as you keep moving, because then you can step back and see, okay, do I have enough or maybe too little? Some shadows are more like on the bottom, some are more like on top. But you go gently and you think about it without just adding color anywhere. So sometimes I'll grab the color from here, sometimes I'll grab when you see more reddish, right? And that's the idea. You change the colors, like not the color, but the shade of that gray. You want to paint them with that transparency. That's why no more than milk-like ratio between water and paint. And at some point you see like that maybe it's better to actually use water-like ratio too. And let's see, maybe a little bit of that here in between. I can go over some of these rocks and dry brush through. There's more of them on the bottom here. in a way. And then we also should do some dry brushing, so like this on the bottom. Shadows are not just gray, it's important, or black. So you want to think like, okay, there's a color in them, because that will make you think of colors instead of just going for that Payne's gray or whatever it is. And so it all comes down to the color wheel. And when you have that local color, when you determine the local color of that object, let's say it's a pear, a green pear, and the local color of that pear is green, and then you look at the color wheel and you will see where the green is, then you locate the color that's on the opposite side of the color wheel, which is red. So what color would you use to add a shadow to that pear? So you would use colors that you use for the pear, which is green, and some other undertones, maybe like yellow and so on. But you would definitely add the complementary color to green, which is red. So that's how you would create that natural shadow, color of the shadow. And of course, you end up with something that looks more like gray. Not always. Sometimes you see something red and so on. But that will be like where you want to start thinking about these complementary colors.